If you're a landlord, I'm sure you've been there. Rent day comes and goes, but no payment. What now? The frustration, the stress, it's a situation none of us want to deal with, but it happens. More than we care to admit. That's why today we're breaking down what to do when your tenant doesn't pay their rent. From sending out friendly reminders to navigating the eviction process, I'll guide you through every step of the way so you can handle it like a pro. We'll talk today about reviewing your lease agreement and what to look for. We'll also talk about sending out notices and what needs to be included in those notices. And toward the end of the video, we'll also talk about what not to do and answer some frequently asked questions. You don't want to miss that. Before we jump in, make sure to hit the subscribe button and smash the bell for more valuable landlording tips. All right, let's dive in. Step number 1, review your lease agreement. Okay, first things first, before you do anything, grab your lease agreement. That's your playbook here. It outlines everything you need to know, like the rent due date, grace period, late fees. So when is rent considered late? Let's use California as an example here. In many cases, rent is due on the 1st of the month. However, some landlords allow a grace period, which is often until the 4th. If the 4th lands on a weekend or a holiday, rent might officially be late on the next business day. And what about late fees? In California and in many other states, landlords can charge a late fee, but it has to be reasonable. A common standard is around 5% of the monthly rent. Here's a pro tip. Be sure to check your local laws and update your lease agreement to reflect clear terms about late fees, grace periods, and payment methods. Having everything in writing saves you a lot of trouble later. Step number 2, send a friendly reminder. All right, so rent is officially late, but before you start stressing, remember, sometimes it's just an honest mistake. Life gets busy, so a friendly nudge might be all it takes to get things back on track. So here's what you want to say. Send a quick text, email, or even a call. Try something like, "Hey John, just a quick reminder that rent was due on the 1st. Let me know if there's been a delay or if you've already sent the payment." Simple, friendly, and non-confrontational. Sometimes tenants just need a gentle push to get things sorted out, and approaching it this way can help preserve a good relationship. Here's a pro tip. Always keep records for your communication. Even a quick text message can serve as documentation if things escalate later. Step number 3, serve a 3-day notice to pay rent or quit. Okay, so the friendly nudge didn't work. Now it's time to get a little formal. The next step is to serve a notice to pay rent or quit. The exact process varies by state, but this is generally the first legal step of the eviction process. Let's break it down using California as an example. So what to include in the notice? The tenant's name and property address, the exact amount of rent owed, payment instructions, how, where, and when they can pay, a clear deadline, 3 business days from the date the notice is served. How to serve the notice? Typically, you'll need to post the notice somewhere obvious, like the front door, and mail a copy to the tenant on the same day. This ensures they can't claim that they never received it. Here's a pro tip. Make sure the notice complies with your state's laws. And if you're unsure, consult with an attorney or use a trusted template specific to your area. Step number 4, consider a cash for keys. Now I get it, evictions can be expensive, time-consuming, and emotionally draining. Before you go down that road, consider offering a cash for keys deal. It's exactly what it sounds like. You pay the tenant to leave the property voluntarily. Yes, it might seem counterintuitive to pay someone who already owes you money, but hear me out. There are many benefits to cash for keys. It really works. Evictions can take months. That's months of rent, legal fees, and stress. Cash for keys is often faster and cheaper in the long run. It also avoids the risk of a tenant damaging the property on their way out, something that's all too common in contentious evictions. Here's a pro tip. Always get the agreement in writing. Outline the terms clearly, including the amount offered and the move-out deadline. That way you're protected if the tenant changes his mind. Step number 5, file for eviction. If all else fails, it's time to proceed with an eviction. Tried the cash for keys, you give them a gentle nudge, you've done everything, but push comes to shove, you gotta do the eviction eventually. This is your last resort, but sometimes it's necessary to protect your investment. How the process works. Here's an example of how the process generally works in states like California. Start by filing an unlawful detainer with your local court. This officially begins the eviction process. The tenant will be served with court papers and has a limited time, often 5 days, to respond. If they don't respond, you automatically win. If they do, you'll go to a hearing. If the court decides in your favor, you'll be granted a writ of possession. This document gives the law enforcement the authority to step in and remove the tenant if they refuse to leave on their own. Please note, eviction laws can be tricky and they vary widely by state. Always work with an experienced landlord-tenant attorney to ensure that you're following the process correctly. So what not to do when rent is late? So let's shift gears for a second and talk about what not to do when dealing with late rent. These common mistakes can make a tough situation even worse. Number 1, don't get emotional. It's easy to let frustration frustration take over, but yelling or losing your cool will often escalate the situation and could get you in legal hot water. Number 2, don't skip steps. Eviction laws are strict. Skipping steps like serving the notice incorrectly could get your case thrown out of court. Number 3, don't forget documentation. Keep records of every interaction. Texts, emails, notices. This will be your best defense if you end up in court. So how these mistakes can be avoided. Now, speaking of avoiding mistakes, let me share a real life story of one of our clients, Shaun Dennis, who faced many challenges we're talking about today. Shaun was a tired landlord. He had tenants who weren't paying on time. And on top of that, who was dealing with title issues on his property. In situations like this, it's easy to get emotional and frustrated, but doing so could have made things a lot worse for Shaun. Shaun, like many landlords, could have skipped important steps in the eviction process or mishandled the title issue. But with our help, we guided him through everything methodically. We didn't rush things. We helped Shaun follow the right procedures, and we made sure to track everything from the eviction notice to the paperwork. This is key to protecting yourself legally, just like we talked about earlier. So what was the end result? Once the tenants were out, we closed and Shaun walked away with his proceeds. That simple. And we did the heavy lifting. Shaun's property needed a lot of work, and we did a full renovation, fixing issues like mold, trash buildup, drywall damage. We also replaced the old flooring, finished the kitchen cabinets. We added new appliances and brightened up the whole place with a fresh coat of paint. All right, let's wrap up with some frequently asked questions about dealing with late rent. So when is rent considered late? Rent is typically considered late the day after the due date specified in the lease. If there's a grace period, it's late the day after that. So how long can a tenant stay without paying rent? This depends on your state, but most laws give the tenant a few days after receiving the notice to pay or quit. If they don't, landlords can start the eviction process. Are late fees legal? Yes, but they must be reasonable. The standard fee is around 5% of rent, but always check your local laws. And there you have it. Whether it's a simple reminder or a full-blown eviction, knowing the right steps can save you time, money, and stress. If you found this video helpful, give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more helpful landlord tips. And don't forget to check out the description for additional resources to help you manage your rentals like a pro. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.